we had very strong partisans in both parties in the past, and we had very bitter battles over all kinds of things, gun control and climate change and the economy and taxes. But there wasn't this little tail of extremism wagging the dog of the Republican Party as it is today. Mm-hmm. And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen.
And how do you...
So now we've gotten to hear from Mrs. Clinton. How you doing? This is Sam Tolley with Trust in the Truth, where we view the world through the lens of Jesus Christ. We do not view Jesus Christ through the lens of the world. And Mrs. Clinton says that MAGA Republicans are Trump supporters, ultra MAGA, whatever, that we need formalized deprogramming. This woman, I mean, if you think about what she says, she's actually advocating communist, socialist policies, re-education camps that they used to send people to, and still do, by the way, in communist China, and send people to gulags in the Soviet Union. We need to be formally deprogrammed from following after Donald Trump, us MAGA supporters. They demonized the word MAGA, which said, "Make America Great Again." And now here we are under the well, you know what, this might as well be called the Obama regime, because I think he's pulling the strings of Joe Biden anyway. But nevertheless, under this Biden presidency, we've been so overrun with illegals. Right now, I think they say, about 15 million? Well, if it's 15 million, you can believe it's probably 30. To the point where Joe is in fact talking about putting up 17 miles of fence before, when he said not another foot under his administration.
On build that wall. Are you willing to tear that wall down?
No, there will not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration.
And they say that we need to be deprogrammed. Democrats need to be deprogrammed. MAGA Republicans aren't the ones going around saying to cut off children's genitals and castrate little boys and turn them into girls with puberty blockers and estrogen shots. MAGA supporters aren't the ones going around and talking about doing double mastectomies on 13-year-old girls. It isn't MAGA supporters that is talking about having kindergartners sit down watching a bunch of drag queens, men with prosthetic breasts and fake boobs and wigs running around jiggling themselves to kids, or feeding pornography to little kids. That's not us. We're not the people running around forcing people to take injections that could harm them. No. All we want is decency and civility. All we want is the Constitution to be used as a frame of reference, not as something that you can ignore. And I hear that the FBI is calling MAGA Republicans extremists, that we would, instigate a civil war. That's not us. And as far as Mrs. Clinton is concerned, and she's talking about Mr. Trump has no credibility. This shows you where our media is so corrupt. Mrs. Clinton, the person had 30,000 classified emails on a server in her house, which was all illegal. She never stood a trial. The FBI and the justice system didn't do anything to her. Mrs. Clinton, who left our ambassador in Benghazi to get murdered, never answered for that. What did she say? What difference does it make anyway, or something to that effect? Mrs. Clinton, who sit up there and talked about, well, she keeps a bottle of hot sauce in her purse, pandering to black folks. And then when these liberal black people said, well, you know, that she's pandering, she asked, well, is it working? Mrs. Clinton, who goes to a black church in the South, and all of a sudden get this Southern drawl, talking about, I ain't no ways tired. Mrs. Clinton, who said that Margaret Sanger, that she admired her and her tenacity. Margaret Sanger, that called black people human weeds. Margaret Sanger, that said, let's hire the black preacher so he can get the more rebellious ones in line. That's who Mrs. Clinton admires. And Mrs. Clinton says that we need to be deprogrammed. When I'm sitting over here watching Joe Biden call the governor of Maryland boy, LL Cool J boy, his own assistant, Cedric Richmond boy, and every black Democrat that I know says nothing, and we need to be deprogrammed? When Joe Biden says that Barack Obama was the first clean and articulate black person, and not one word from any Democrats, especially black Democrats, and we need to be deprogrammed? Joe Biden sit over there and a camera and tell black people all through America, if you don't know the difference between him and Trump, you ain't black. And I don't hear nothing. And MAGA Republicans, especially black MAGA Republicans, we need to be deprogrammed? Give me a break. We can see, we can hear, and we understand what's going on. And no matter what Mrs. Clinton says, no matter what the FBI says, we're going to stand for the Constitution. We're going to stand for what's right. And more importantly, we're going to stand for the Word of God. And we will not be silent. Period. This is Sam Tolley, and I'm out.